My mom and dad, right here on clubsteppin.com. Lamont Watts, the CSO Radio Chief Stepping Officer, hanging out with you. All right, as promised, good friend of ours, no stranger to Club Steppin, has entered the building. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Terrence Pratt. T. Pratt, what's going on, sir?
What's up, Lamont? I'm here with my homie, the CSO Radio.
Yes. First of all, Shy Steppers, let's go from the beginning. How many years has it been in existence?
In April, it'll be 6 years.
6 years, all right.
6 long years.
Now, you as a stepper have been in there for longer than 6 years. So for the people who are not up on the Terrence Pratt story, give them a little history about yourself.
Just from the stepping side of it, you mean?
You know what, let's go back, because you also, we'll start with the stepping, but there's, I know there's like an onion, a bunch of layers.
So many things, but I mean, I can make it real simple. In January of 2001, well, a little bit before that actually, I saw Suave Larry dancing in the club at the 50-yard line. I didn't have a clue what this dance was, but I fell in love with the music. I asked him, did he teach? He said no. He sent me to Dre, and this is in January 2001. And that's pretty much where the story started for me. In terms of ShyStepper.com in 2000, shortly around 2002, 2003, we started touring with R. Kelly for the Light It Up tour. We did a Step in the Name of Love video, the Happy People video, all the HBO performances, all of those types of things. So around 2005, after the HBO performance, I knew that that it was coming out as Sister to Sister magazine. And I had been working behind the scenes on this website, so I said, man, it would make sense to launch the website when the article comes out, because I have some national publicity behind it. So that's sort of what we did, man. Okay, so for the people that don't know, we're talking about the HBO special. Was that the one R. Kelly did at Mandalay Bay for the boxing? Yeah, Jermaine Taylor versus Bernard Hopkins. Yeah, you guys did that. That was awesome. That was awesome. So from there, Shy Stepper was born, and the main point of the magazine was the website was to talk about stepping and all facets of it. Right. Before ShyStepper.com, no one was writing about the national stepping scene. Every site was writing about themselves. So I had actually in 2004, I sort of disappeared. I stopped stepping because I had a daughter, and I wanted to be home with her. But I wanted to know what was going on still. So around 2005, when she was a year old and I could start getting back into it, I wanted to know where to go, what was popping, what was hot. And nothing was, I couldn't find anything. So I said, man, this is an opportunity for me. There's only one big problem. I knew nothing about the web and internet. So that's sort of how this whole thing started with ShyStepper.com. It started from a need for me to want to know what was going on in the national stepping community. Okay, well that's always good, you find a need and fill it. Now, one of the great things about in the early postings of Shy Steppers was the forum. Yeah. That forum was interesting. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the forum. The forum was incredible for its time, but there's a couple things that happened. I mean, the forum was a blessing and a curse for me. Without the forum, Shy Stepper wouldn't be as popular as it is today. Because of controversy on the forum, the discussions, the interaction, the nicknames the number of steppers have today. If I say Foxfire, there are a number of people around the nation who know who that is. They know that that's Melanie Fields. When I say Baby Doll, most people don't even know that they don't know Bessie's real name. Right. They call her Baby Doll. All of these names were created on the forum. So, but the downside of it was there were a lot of headaches too, a lot of negative things that were said. It was almost like a fight every week. I had to put out a fire. I might be at work and I would get a call about taking something off the website in the middle of a session with a client. So the forum was good, but basically when Facebook came around, it kind of just decreased the need for it, and luckily for me, I had already made the transition from the forum. That wasn't the biggest part of the site anymore by the time Facebook launched. Now, let's talk about, I know one of the things that's always on the forum was always the subject of controversy. Who won the world's largest steppers contest? Right. Some of the problems that you used to have, I guess, on there, or situation fires used to put out about
was the judging with the rules and things like that, right?
Sure, sure.
So who lifted a foot, who did what, why did they wear what they wore, why did they judge what they judged?
Right.
Is that still prevalent today?
You know what? As long as you have a stepping contest that's not judged by the audience, you're going to have problems with the judging. I mean, because you're dealing with a person's opinion.
Right.
It should be an educated opinion, but it's still an opinion. One thing I did is I actually helped rewrite the current rules.
Okay.
Along with Pete Frazier and a few other people that kind of added some input. But I rewrote the rules from scratch. I also made one major change. If you notice, the last couple of years that controversy hasn't been as big.
Yeah.
Because there was one thing, they were judging based on age and not style of dance. You know, I could be 50 years old, but if I start off learning from Dre, I'm gonna dance new school.
Right.
So the issue is not about age, it was never about age. So when you have a category 39 and up, you know, now you have, you may have someone dancing like Dre in that category, and you may have someone dancing like Daryl Davis in that category. And so it's more about style. And I think when we made that adjustment, as well as having two different sets of judges, you know, because the older steppers, they don't like all the turns and stuff, so they're going to inevitably give lower scores for it.
Right.
And that was creating a lot of controversy, but it's getting a lot better. You know, every year it gets better.
Okay, great. Now, speaking of the world's largest, you and Dre decided to start the pre-world's largest contest.
That's right.
The dance party. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's one of the top 3 parties in the nation. You know, I mean, I'll say GDI unequivocally has the best weekend event in the nation to me. I mean, we won the People's Choice Awards, but I didn't agree with the win. I think they do an amazing job down there. They really provide an experience. And we're steadily moving our thing along. I mean, this year there were thousands, you know, a few thousand, 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 people that we had Cadillac on board as a sponsor, which shows that we're the first event since, I think, 2001, when they had Doc's Fish and Mike's Hard Lemonade as sponsors to bring major corporate sponsorship to the table. So it was 10 years.
Wow.
Yes.
That was a great move for the World of Stepping. If you're just tuning in, we're listening to Terrence Pratt, the president and CEO of ShyStepper.com. Now, Terrence, let's talk a little bit about the year in review. How do you see, what's your year in wrap up for Steppin'?
Wow, that's a really good question. You know, I hadn't really thought about the entire year. But I will say this, I think Steppin' is going through a transition right now. You know, I think the digital era is creating a number of changes. You're finding that, I think I say this about everything, even music now. If you remember back in the day, we could identify a few hot artists. And now everyone's putting a record out. And it's sort of like that in the stepping space as well, you know. Every city wants to have an event, but what clutter does is it draws you toward familiarity.
Right.
So when there's a lot of clutter in an industry, people go to what they feel most familiar with. And I think that's why, like, speaking of events, for instance, GDI gets stronger and stronger. Rodney Mack's event gets stronger and stronger. You know, our event gets stronger and stronger because people want to know what they want to go where they know for sure that they're going to find quality.
Right.
And to me, I think that's sort of like, you know, finding your place in this digital space is sort of what I'm thinking is one of the year-end issues, you know, or raps. That's
a great, when you talk about that, it brings up another conversation. We hear a lot of controversy going on from old school, new school. People have been throwing their sets for 10, 12 years. Versus people who have, then there's people, new schoolers that say, hey, you know what, I want to throw a set on that day. And the old schoolers kind of say, hey, you know what, I've been doing this for years, why you want to get my day?
Right.
Again, and that brings clutter.
Right.
So what's your take on that?
I say as much as possible, you should try to avoid doing things on someone else's day. As much as possible, but as the community grows, inevitably it's going to happen now. And the other thing is that a lot of times, you take a group like Deja Vu, for instance, that's been around for maybe 18, 19 years now. They reach an entirely different demographic than some of these other groups which are targeted strictly new school dancers. The music's going to be different, the audience is going to be different, and the reality is there are enough steppers now to fill both types of sets up. Right. So the conflict, really, if people know who they're targeting, they I think they'll be okay. And here's the other thing that I often say: when the market is saturated in anything, it self-corrects. You know, the real estate market was saturated. It self-corrects. Some people have to go out of business, and that's just the way that it goes. So if you throw your party on the same night, you better have a good product, or be prepared to lose money.
Right. So speaking of that, now let's talk about promoters.
Yeah.
Doing these sets. I mean, you know, with you and Dre now jumping into it, like you said, your set is growing with the pre-world's largest. Give some advice, some words of wisdom. I mean, what you just did was great, right. But also some words of wisdom to a promoter that's out there saying, you know what, hey, I think I can do a set. Because we always, of course, can do something better than somebody else.
Right. Well, the first thing is I don't think there are a lot of real promoters out there. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion. I think that you have a lot of people that put a couple of tables and chairs in a room and hire a DJ and think they're having an event, a party. And so, you know, my thing is the first thing is you need to focus on quality. Trying to bring something new and innovative to the table. It shouldn't just be about making money. With our party, we make a decent chunk of money on that party. But if you knew how much we spend more throwing our party than most people make at their parties. Because I understand if you want to give people a reason to come back, you have to put something into it.
Right.
You know, so I see a lot of table and chair parties out there, but I don't see real events happening.
That's cool.
That's a good term too. Table and chairs and not to butt in, but I got to because I'm hearing this.
Right.
Really elaborate on an event, because like you say, people say, well, I'm doing a stepper set, but they don't know any steppers. They just say it's a good idea. I can spin. What's the difference?
Right. Well, one of the differences is you know, just simple things, programming. You know, having some sort of agenda or theme that follows it outside of just celebrating a birthday. You know, how you decorate the room. You know, and just are you feeding the people? You know, do you have a step and repeat, a red carpet, or something to make people feel special? I don't know exactly what it will be for each particular event, but you know, something to sort of make these people feel like they're getting their money's worth. To me, that's what I don't want to do a whole lot of parties. I'd rather do one or two quality events that make people have a memorable experience.
Correct.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, we're hanging out with T. Pratt from ShotStepper.com. We're going to take a pause for the cause. We'll be right back, and then we'll talk a little bit about where he sees 2012 going and beyond, and then also that infamous top 10 DJ list. All right, don't go anywhere. It's clubsteppin.com with CSO Radio. Chief Stepping Officer Lamont right here. Get your step on.